These walls do talk, and they tell us what the experience was of the immigrants who actually stayed here and what they had to go through.
From 1910 to 1940, tens of thousands of immigrants entered the United States through the Angel Island Immigration Station, which is located near San Francisco. All over its walls, carvings in many languages reveal a unique story about those who came through it. Immigrants from many countries came through this building. More than half were from China and Japan, but others came from Russia, India, and Central and South America. The carvings reflect the different people who came through, but the great majority of those carvings were poems written in Chinese. Gold had been discovered in California in 1848, and sojourners came to make their fortune. As more and more people arrived, competition for jobs increased. Many European laborers who felt that America should only belong to whites began to organize against non-white workers, and in particular against the Chinese. In 1882, Congress passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, a law which aimed to prevent Chinese immigrant laborers from entering the United States. This was the first in a series of laws that began to limit immigration from specific ethnic groups. On the East Coast, Ellis Island had been receiving immigrants since 1892. While Ellis Island has been a symbol of welcome to immigrants, Angel Island has a sadder story to tell.
Often it's sort of misphrased that Angel Island's called, the Ellis Island of the West. Most immigrants at Ellis Island stayed there for a few hours, whereas immigrants on Angel Island stayed here anywhere from 3 to 5 days up to, several weeks and up to several months, and in some cases years.
You're locked up, and people are asking you all sorts of hard questions, and you're surrounded by people speaking to you in a language you don't know. Who hasn't ever felt left out before? And what if a whole race of people felt left out? And that's what happened in that time period.
In order to be allowed to enter the United States, Chinese immigrants had to go through grueling interrogation sessions.
My name is Dale Ching, and I was here detained back in 1937. I was here for 3.5 months.
Dale Ching was 16 years old when he first came to America. Even though his father was born in the United States, he still had to go through the immigration station.
So when you get off the ferry, what I call it, a welcome party is waiting for us, which is the armed guard uniform. Well, you're lonely and you're afraid of it. You're not going to be able to see your family at all. You will be all by yourself here. Just look at outside, you got the high fence and barbed wires all around it. I'm just waiting for to be free from here.
When I left, my parents regretted it was so hurried. The reason I tearfully swallow my resentment is because of poverty. Wishing to escape permanent poverty, I fled overseas. Who caused my destiny to be so perverse that I would become imprisoned? The victim of aggression, people of our nation mourn the desperate times. I feel sorely guilty for having not yet repaid my parents' kindness. Grieving the cold night, the insects now make noise. Not only do I sob silently, but my throat tastes bitter.
We knew that there was some writing here, some poetry, although it's very difficult to see. If you look closely, you can see slight difference in texture, slight difference in shadow. So we removed paint to learn more about the carvings, to learn more about how they were made, to make them easier to read so that people who can read Chinese would be able to translate the poetry. If we take off all of the paint, we're left with the bare wood. And that's what the wall looked like originally. Basically, the government was trying to paint over the carvings. They didn't want the carvings there, so they filled the carvings with putty and then painted over that.
The poems are an expression of the emotional state of the people who were here. They had really no other way of expressing themselves.
When I arrived in America, all I could do was gaze at the seawater in vain. The ship docked at the wharf, and I was transferred to the lonely island. Together with several hundred countrymen, it is a slim hope to be the one fish to elude the net.
After 3.5 months in the immigration station, Dale Ching was given what he had been waiting for: permission to enter the United States.
The guard will come in and they call out names and they say "Dai Fo" in Chinese. "Dai Fo," that means the San Francisco Bar, freedom. They called my name, and then I was so happy, running all over the place. Oh boy, that was a happy day.